a lot of amateurs, adult improvers are obsessed with blindfold skills, and I consider them to be absolutely super irrelevant.
Interesting.
Super irrelevant. Super irrelevant. Okay, let's have a look at... whoa, really? That's what they threw at us. That's still quite shocking that we get that on 1600 level. Wow.
Yeah, that's lead chess ratings. Just because I've had an easier time just getting
That
in.
doesn't matter what
Yeah,
rating it is. 94.
yeah,
I mean, it's not even the rating. More important is the time control. Like, to hope that
45.
someone
Yeah,
is gonna suck in 95 kg5 and fall into this kindergarten mate. Like, your life has to be sad to repeatedly play for this trick and hope that you are landing a win. And I don't understand what satisfaction you gain out of this, even if you win like that. It just feels so cheap and
yeah.
no effort.
That's true.
Anyway, whatever. Multiple very good moves here available for us. Knight d4, c3, d3 castles are the most notable ones.
Okay.
Okay. I was trying to think if queen f3 is a move here or not.
Yeah, this is one that's was in my dynamic Italian course. The line that I play is what it's recommended. But I see it so rarely that it was a little fuzzy for me. So I was like, wait, is it castles or queen f3? So
So
yeah,
hang on,
good to
is
consider
your
that.
course telling you to play queen f3?
No, it says castles. Yeah.
Right, okay. Because I quite like queen f3 because for a second I'm not quite sure what the best way is to meet the mate threat because knight f6, e5, d5, bishop b5. Oh, maybe they have bishop d7 there. Huh. Okay, yeah, maybe. So I was thinking that maybe we had some tricks here with white because d5 is only move, right? Like no other legal move is playable, and if takes, I'm not excited about this for white at all.
Hmm.
But I was hoping to throw this check in because then I was hoping to make this work because now the pawns are very, very badly split.
Hmm.
All right, but
Yeah.
I think bishop d7 is the move here.
Hmm.
Maybe because now again, if takes bishop b5, I'm not happy. But take, I didn't realize that this was capturable. But even here, I'm unsure if this is what we want. But anyway, queen f3 would have been an interesting scenario. We had castles d6, c3. That's very logical. Takes, okay, takes very good. Knight f6 good. Queen b3 looks good. d4 looks very good here. But queen
Yeah, that
b3
was the
is
other
queen.
move.
Oh
Yeah.
wow, what? Well, that is game over then. So, thank you. Next. All right, that's what we do here. Like, what is the next game we are looking at, Danielle? This is over, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so how did we finish this off? Take. D4, great. Yeah, queen d7, good. C4.
This I debated the queen trade. I didn't know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. I would almost certainly reject it, and I would
Right.
almost. Yeah, these are the two choices. Somehow queen b3 feels a bit more natural to me than c4, and I can't really explain it in chess language why. But I would say that the difference between those two is entirely marginal. One thing that stands out to me is that inevitably after a move like castles, with the queen on c4, with the queen on c4, d5 is going to hit both ways, and it's going to isolate this pawn. So let's say that I play a
Yeah.
meaningless pass, d5, and then after the masses of trades, although black is a pawn down, at least they have a target.
Right.
Right? Whereas, if you slide the queen all the way back to b3, then d5 is never a worry because you can push past.
Yeah. My thinking at the time was that I wanted to I assumed that he was for sure going to castle queenside, and so I wanted to have the A and B pawn, but the B pawn march up. That's why I landed on C4.
Now, I don't like the sound of that Daniel.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
not at all. And I'll tell you why. because marching up your pawns, of which we should rather, in this case, call a pawn storm, is a concept that we apply to attack a king that we can't get access to otherwise. Right? So a pawn storm is fundamentally, as we have discussed it multiple times, is designed to create open files and diagonals to create attacking avenues. You don't need that, man. Like, isn't this good enough? Like, this open file here that I can't draw on the board because it's weird. Yeah, like bishop e3, rook fc1, and piling up on c7 like a madman.
Yeah, that's true. Dang. Yep.
Right, like pawn storm to what? Like, you know what I mean? And besides, like pawn storming this king is going to take exactly 98 moves.
Yeah.
Like this mate is longer than War and Peace to get there, right? Like, that is not a plan here. Like your piece mobility is so mighty impressive. Like bishop e3, rook c1, knight b5, kill, kill, kill.
Yep.
So that is very, very slow. But the most important thing, Daniel, is the one lesson that is coming now, which I have already seen as the next move. In this position, I don't know if you remember what you did or not, but that move should have never ever been played in this game. Like that particular move that comes next, if I wanted to be harsh, I would say is inexcusable, and you should have done everything in your power to avoid playing it. Do you know what that move was?
Yeah, h3.
Right, like that is not a move. I want you, Daniel, to look at this and feel disgust, not about the fact that you did it, but about the move. Right? Like if someone tells you that in this position it's you are white, it's your turn, please play h3, you just go like, no. That's not how it is. Like, it's like, imagine that you're going into a 5-star restaurant, they serve you a main meal, like an amazing steak with some whatever sides, and the waiter tells you that, and your only way to eat it is with your bare hands. It's like it's like a sacrilege. Yeah. You feel like, oh my God, like everything is so perfect, and then we land some absolutely inappropriate, totally not okay to the scenario type of behavior. Like, what are our objectives here? Complete development and destroy your opponent on the queen side as soon as possible. And since you are dominating the center, there is zero obstructions or obstacles in the way. So you are free to do whatever you want. And yet, despite that freedom, we play h3. Now, the problem, Daniel, is, and this is what almost everyone who makes these mistakes, they go down in the same spiral of, I don't want to call it negative thinking, but the way how this move becomes a candidate, and then in fact the chosen move, is the following mentality. I want to play bishop e3. Can't do bishop e3 because of knight g4. I must prevent knight g4. And there are so many issues here at play that I'm going to now tackle one by one. The first one, to start with a big positive, is that bishop e3 is by far the most attractive move, which is the correct first candidate, right? Really good. Then the second step is still very good, which is that we identify that there is a bit of a fly in the ointment in the shape of knight g4. So at this point, there are two things that you must do as a chess player who thrives to find out the truth. The first one is knight g4 really a big problem? And here you need to spend some time on tossing up if this is really a biggie. Because there is a world where I see that we are just about to score a victory with rook f7 next. Now, I'm not trying to sell you that this was the best course of action, but what I am certainly trying to sell you is critical thinking about your opponent's sources, which is that, is this really a problem type of thinking? That's one. Two, if bishop e3, assuming that knight g4 is okay, knight d5, knight takes e3, fe3 is not good enough because of, let's say, rook f8, whatever, we don't want this. We feel like our initiative is worth more than this. We want to keep on pushing, right? Okay, fair enough. So I still really want to make bishop e3 work. Because let's say that bishop f4 is a compromise, which I would consider, by the way, but I wouldn't play it.
Yeah, I was trying to make that work, actually.
Now,
Because I didn't
I
like it.
really like my bishop on e3.
Okay.
Right? So let's think about ways to meet this issue. First of all, and this is how exactly you arrive at the wrong conclusion, by the way. Okay, let's eliminate knight g4. That's the most obvious, not necessarily best way to think, and that's exactly how you thought, by the way, which is still on the positive list. But okay, let's eliminate knight g4. What moves eliminate knight g4? H3 per played. Any other?
Yeah, f3.
Okay, please compare the two for me.
Yeah. I mean, f3 does start to open up a diagonal against my king, but I don't see a way that black can exploit that anytime soon. Plus, I have the dark square bishop to protect it, to protect that diagonal.
I would like to leave in a role, Daniel, where when you are considering f3, the last thing you mention is that it opens up a diagonal against the king. Not the first.
Okay.
And you know why? Because that's exactly how relevant that is.
Okay.
Like, it is the most irrelevant fact about f3 is that it opens up this diagonal. Like, who cares? Like, if I give you 25 moves with black hit in a row, back to back, and you can't take any pieces of mine, you will still not be able to hurt me on this diagonal.
Yeah.
Like, that is literally totally irrelevant that this diagonal is now opened up, especially in the light of the fact that your follow-up move is bishop e3. I mean, Daniel, this diagonal is where we are going to kill black, not where we are getting hurt. This is one-way traffic, mate.
Yeah.
Like, that's exactly why the reason why we're playing f3 is because we want this diagonal, right? So that after pawn d5, we're killing down here, yeah? So if we do a comparison between h3 and f3, well, you still haven't evaluated. We just debunked the myth about the weakening the king. So let's go on with that, because that doesn't exist. As in, that doesn't weaken your king at all. So, is it better than h3, or is it the same? Or is it worse?
I think it's okay. So yeah, after what we discussed, I think h3 is worse than f3. H3 could allow black to open up the h file by pushing the g pawn.
What I would highlight, Daniel, here in terms of the big difference is that f3, first of all, and it's not exactly something that I think is teachable, is aesthetically it feels right in compared to h3, because it just creates a very healthy chain where everyone is defended, and it also denies knight g4 the same way how h3 does, but it also covers e4. And once again, like h3 here, when we are talking about aesthetics, it just sticks out like a sore thumb. f3 feels extremely natural. Like, you look at this piece formation, and everything about this is harmony. Like, if it was a piece of art hung up on the Louvre, people would go like, this looks really pleasing. And if you look at this, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And once again, I don't really think that this is one of those things that, well, it's teachable, but it's not measurable. Which is why people who think that chess is maths are always so wrong, because mathematically it's not explainable why f3 is so much better than h3. But if you look at it, this looks like healthy, good chess. This doesn't.
Right. Right.
So we have already found, Daniel, a move that is 1,000,000,000 times better than h3. And since our number one approach, once we figured out that knight g4 was threatened and we wanted to play bishop e3, was still that we absolutely and utterly despise h3, and we are trying our utmost to avoid playing this, we already have found a heap better alternative, which would have taken the sting out of all kinds of kingside hopes from black side and allow you to conduct the attack. Now, if you are playing attention, which you were, I did tell you that once f3 and bishop e3 happens, we are going to murder our opponent on this diagonal. What was the move that I then mentioned as a subsequent potential move to further press the issue on the diagonal after f3, bishop e3? How are we going to look that way?
Actually don't recall what you said. I may
Yeah, I
have
speak
missed it,
fast. So how is this bishop
but
gonna hit this?
a d5.
Right, that's the move I said.
Yeah.
I said we go
Okay.
f3, we go bishop e3, and then we will go d5.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have got an idea planted in our head, and that is that once the bishop is in e3, we want d5.
Right.
So why don't I start with d5? And play bishop e3 next, and if knight g4, I can play bishop here or even take the pawn. Since blocking the pawn in is mate. So let's say black plays whatever random stuff, bishop e3. And I'm playing all the attacking moves that have been on my agenda from get-go without the sinfully ugly h3.
Yeah.
And once again, Daniel, you are looking at what we call aesthetic pleasure in terms of looking at a chess piece formation that seems to do exactly what it was designed to do.
Yeah.
Like, you need to develop a natural hatred, not dislike, hatred for moves like this, because you know they are wrong, you know they are ugly, you know that they fail to do, in the grand scheme of things, what we're destined to do. And so, once again, you should try your utmost to talk yourself out of these moves instead of talking yourself into them. And once again, the thought process for you and many other players is that they don't want to do this, but then they talk themselves into it by, I wanted to say fabricated arguments, but they're not fabricated, they are real. That's exactly where the problem lies. That there is a point where they realize that this is a threat. They know that this is a way to stop it. They know it's not an optimal way. But then instead of trying to disprove or rather find a better way to stop it, they then talk themselves into, no, that's the best way. It's ugly, but this is the best. No, it's not. You should always at that point try to find a superior way to deal with the threat. Especially when you are on the back of an amazingly dominant position. Like if it was an even opening where, you know, it's not very clear that we are 700 kilometers ahead, it would be a far harder decision and mentality wise to adjust to, you know, it shouldn't be h3. But here, when we are just about to, you know, launch an absolutely decisive attack, this just feels like, you know, you can have another go. I could just go grab a coffee, come back and beat you afterwards. Okay, moving on. Oh my god. Oh. Okay. All right. I don't mind this move, Daniel, at all. However, I'm going to provoke you a little bit here about pattern recognition. If I play d5 here with white, have I just created a lethal threat? And I really want to give you a good clue, but I really don't know how to do it so that it's not super obvious. But
an immediate one?
Isn't
one that doesn't require any further setup?
Oh, Daniel, you know me, mate. Setup, like more setup than this? Like, what do we want to set up more than this? Right. We are set up, my friend. I just set you up. D5 was the setup. So, have you heard of the Greek gift sacrifice, Daniel?
Yes.
Now that this seems to take place on this square, right?
Right.
So why is coach talking about the Greek gift when the king is 700 miles away from the usual destination?
I mean, it's a similar situation where you have the bishop targeting...
I would like you, Daniel, to, instead of say similar, use the word identical.
Okay.
It's virtually identical.
Okay. Yeah.
And the reason why I am being so hair-splitty about this is because the only way to get it in your head is if you recognize that this is carnage, this is game over. Like, set up, what? Like, aren't we set up enough? Hello, check here, and mate. Book.
Yep.
That's literally Greek gift 101.
Okay, yeah.
It doesn't get simpler than that. And the only thing that is difficult about spotting this is that it's a reverse. Like, it's very rare in chess that we get accustomed to a motif on the king side and that it is translatable like for like on the queen side is extremely rare. Because the chessboard is not symmetrical, contrary to common misconception. For starters, the colors are completely different. But also, castling queenside usually lands a king on c8, not on b8. So, Greek gifting a queenside castled king feels very counterintuitive. But if you think about just the piece formation and what's ready to go and how black is laid out to defend it, it's like for like the same mate pattern. And so once you recognize this, Daniel, it becomes very apparent that whilst rook c1 is an attractive attacking move, d5 is a heap more to the point. Even aside bishop a7, you have the threat of queen d4, which is going to provoke a major weakening.
Yeah.
Right? And remember how you wanted to pawn storm this king? When I told you that would have taken 7 eternities? Now it's 2 moves, man. 2 moves.
Yep.
Because we provoked a weakening move. And, but black can play a6. Yeah, they can. And what after queen d4? Hello. Now they have to play b6, making the whole weakening shenanigans 10 times worse. And again, you are right all over me. Now compare the effectiveness or the efficacy of what I'm doing now to rook c1. What's your next move?
Right.
Yeah, so you look at my move. You ask me, what's your next move, coach? I'm like, yeah, my next move is checkmate. What's your next move?
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably d5. I mean, you can play knight b5, but then I can kick you with c6. I can defend it with rook c8, yada, yada, yada. We don't have an obvious follow-up. Do I want to say by this that rook c1 is a bad move? No. Do I want to say that rook c1 is missing the mark? Totally. Like, this is a textbook case, Daniel, of a move that ticks all the boxes, and yet it's not cutting it.
Right.
It's when we are... I don't want to be using too harsh language to say that we're deluding ourselves into attacking, but this is what it is. That we are, confirming to ourselves that, yeah, I'm attacking. Like, are you really?
Yeah.
Like, yes, you are improving your piece quality. That's definitely, I'm giving it to you. But are we attacking? Very much up for debate, isn't it?
Yeah. I think something about it being on the queen side. I think if you'd reverse this and put it on the king side, I'm just so focused on doing that kind of thing on the king side. I don't know. I think that's why I didn't let my mind go there or something.
Yeah, it is a little bit of an oddity, but
yeah.
Nonetheless, the feature that stands out the most about this position to me is the very apparent lack of defenders. Right? No minor pieces to be found on the queen side. Every single piece you own is on the queen side or pointed that way. So yeah, we are definitely trigger happy here to go nuts. 100%. Okay, rook c8. That ironically that makes the Greek gift even stronger because the king doesn't even have the way to run. Yeah, so d5 is an absolute no-brainer here.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I may have just missed it throughout.
Yeah, so this is just sad because we are completely missing here the essence of the position, and this is gonna take you a million years to get there.
Right. Yep.
The irony, Daniel, here is that even e5. Oh, actually, they have d5, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. Okay, never mind. If they had to take, then it would have been a very, very good measure because it kicks the developed knight and opens up the bishop's diagonal. But unfortunately, they seem to have this. Oh, actually, sorry, I stand corrected. They do not have that. Because now the d5 pawn is dropping. Okay, so we have spent, Daniel, a lesson on on pawn storms and how to do a proper pawn storm. Now I'm going to add a little bit of an extra to that contract right at the bottom with the tiny letters that no one reads, and that is that when you are attacking a king, you almost always would like to do an attack with pieces, not with pawns. Because attacking with pawns is not the end, it's a means to the end, right? So as we discussed, the pawn storm fundamentally what it accomplishes is that it gives you files and diagonals to provide access to the king, right? But that takes forever, and here you already have plenty of access to said king. And note, by the way, that if you, for example, even on c1, but had you played rook d1, you could actually bring the rook up to, like, the way how I'm indicating with the arrows. And all of this is a lot more threatening, a lot faster. And like, even if we disregard the Greek gift, after d5, let's say they played this, I go knight b5. If they go here, I drop back here, now I'm threatening knight c6 check. I don't need pawns. I'm ripping them into pieces, smithereens. Oh man, I've got a beautiful mate here. Check this out. They play h5, I go check, they go here. Yeah, just to be clear, take is losing a queen because of mate.
Yep.
So they go here, I go here, they go here, I go here, they go here, I go check, 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 he mate.
Wow.
That's how you attack with pieces. And pawn storms enable you to do this. But you use that tool when there's no other way to utilize your pieces. But here, due to the fact that A, we dominate the center, which is the key feature in order to enable what I just did, and 2, you are a pawn up, you totally don't need a pawn storm, man. Like, your pieces are ready to jump on them. By the way, how awesome was that mate that I just fabricated
that was
there?
great.
And by the way, that said, like, this is best defense for black. Like I showed you, if they take, it's over. So king a8 is forced. And of course, my mind immediately went to, I need to sack, man. I need to sack. And of course, I didn't do the right way to do it because rook takes is a move faster. Because then takes, queen takes is mate. But I was so obsessed with this mate motif. With rook on a7, utilizing, by the way, the bishop covering b6, that I went like, oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. And you can see, by the way, because I just launched a pawn storm on the other side, how ineffective that is when you have the ability to use your pieces in an attack.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
So, yeah, this is completely missing the mark.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yep.
God. Whew. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just tunneled on pawn storming for this game.
Oh, look, it is very logical to follow up b4 with a4. However, I do have a question for you, sir. What is the point of a4? Which may sound like the stupidest question you heard today, but I insist. And I don't mind being stupid. Or if you want me to put it in a different way, what is our next move?
Right. Yeah, I struggled with that because when I was thinking about a4, I mean, again, just if black played...
Yeah, I play like, blah.
Like g6.
Let me play a better blah. A blah like this.
Okay. Yeah, I contemplated, okay, so I first thought was b5, but I wondered if black had played a5 in response.
Well, see, this is exactly where I'm going, Daniel. Do you want to play b5? Because if the answer is yes, well, then I have good news for you. b5 is good to go.
Right. And then I figured black would play a5.
Yeah,
probably.
And how is a4 going to fix this?
Yeah, it doesn't. And that was what I struggled with. I was struggling to figure out. Yeah.
You are actually at least one step ahead of the general approach of people who play a4 here, because most people here play a4 because they go like, I want to play b5, and when they take, I'm going to take back with the pawn, and then I have an awesome a5, and isn't that great? And I'm like, yeah, that's great, except no one in their right mind would ever even look at taking b5. No one is gonna take that for you. So when we play a4,
Right.
we are in complete lala and hope chess land that our opponent is actually on our team and they are desperate to get mated. But they are not. They will play a5, making a4 a complete waste of move.
Right.
Right? Now, you are smart that you know that b5 is met by a5, but we still played a4, which unfortunately for you made me go like, okay, well, you need to explain to me what's going on.
Right. Well, yeah, I was struggling to figure out how to break through here. And
Okay, let me
I didn't,
let me tell you,
yeah.
Daniel, how a player of my caliber thinks here.
Okay.
And I'm not even saying, I'm more than happy to be wrong, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
actually, the move I would play here for white almost certainly would be d5.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't want to sound like a broken record, so let's pretend that d5 doesn't exist. The way
Okay.
a player like my caliber looks at this is like this. b5, AB loses to knight b5, I don't need to calculate that, it's going to be a crushing attack. b5, a5, b6. No any other move. Like nothing. If after b5, a5, b6 doesn't work, I don't even bother looking anymore at b5. Because if I don't play b6, they will. And then I accomplished the polar opposite of what I was meant to do. I was meant to accomplish open files, at least one, and I totally failed. This has fiasco written all over it, despite the fact that this is still completely winning for white. So what I'm thinking is b5, a5, b6. That's what I want. I want open files. And my coach told me pawn storms include pawn sacks, for the sake of opening files. It's b6, only move is take. No
Right.
question. And then I play queen b3, and I'm threatening queen b6.
Hmm.
And at that point, I'm almost concluding that I have got an absolutely raging attack with 2 open files against my opponent's king. Right? Like, this is ridiculously aggro. This is ridiculously aggro. That's what aggression looks like in chess. That I have a goal, that is to rip into you. I'm ripping into you. And I'm ripping into you again. And again, and again, and again. Is it decisive? Maybe, maybe not. But this is the thinking. This is the right mentality and more or less the right moves. Maybe queen d8 holds for the time being. d5, knight d7, knight a4. This was what I was calculating in the meantime while I was talking. May or may not be the best because here black has a very nasty knight c5. But yeah, maybe knight... Oh, wow. I don't know how I do this, but sometimes... Yeah, this... Oh, boy, I hate that when that happens. Do you see that? Don't go in there, Mark, like that road sign that tells you can't do that on the board.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know how sometimes I manage to trigger that. So now it looks like I failed to accomplish the ultimate breakthrough. But this is nonetheless the way I'm thinking first. Like, this is what I'm checking with b5, right? Okay, I need to refresh the page, Daniel. I'm sorry, but this when something funky happened. And yeah, let's go back to where it was. Ooh, c5. Your opponent is definitely on your team, mate. So b6 takes back queen d8. Maybe d5 wasn't... Yeah, I do like d5 though. Knight d7. Maybe rook b1 first. So that after knight c5, bishop c5, the pawn can't take because of mate. This is a little bit speculative though. And if I then come to the conclusion that this doesn't work, then I try to fine-tune it. My next step to fine-tuning this is not a4, because that doesn't fix the e5, b5 lines, right? So fine-tuning would look like this. Because then the same lines would have an incredible oomph by virtue of having the rook already trained on this.
Yeah.
Right? So... now we are developing that sense of how to attack well in this position. What's really amazing is that both you and your opponent are doing their utmost to destroy the black king. It is teamwork at its finest.
Yeah, I wish I could say I did better here in this position now, but time was, yeah.
It's perfectly fine. I would just play d5 here, I reckon. Like it's just
I
screaming at us, right? Connected pass pawns, e5, d6, e6.
yeah, I
What?
had
What?
a
I need to quote here the greatest Ben Feingold. Like, what else? I mean, you could take, granted, and that wins too. But I would much rather play d5 and keep the pawns united and have this rolling in.
yeah, so
What?
obvious now when I see it.
Okay, to be fair to you, this is a logical attacking attempt, but aren't we in severe trouble after CD?
Yeah, we are. And so there was different possibilities that I was calculating here, and I was running low on time, and I was trying to figure out what would work because there was a couple of snares I didn't want to get myself into trouble, and ultimately I did, ironically. But
The funny thing,
I was
Daniel,
kind
is that exactly what you are saying and what you are doing are 180 opposites. Like, if you want to avoid heat, trouble, and calculation, then you do this, and you just tick all boxes.
yeah,
Right? Like, why would you allow a scenario where your queen is exposed to a discovered attack that attacks a bishop and invites extreme complications in a position when you are absolutely murdering your opponent?
yeah.
Like,
I'm not.
this is the ultimate definition of impractical play if you are in time trouble here. Even without time trouble, actually.
I this was, yeah, this was a moment that was a bit hazy because I decided it all like within a minute, and I was calculating several different possibilities, and I hate to admit it, but I don't think I even considered D5. It escaped me. I missed that
Actually, Daniel, the
possibility.
funny thing is that what worries me more is that you allowed this. Because the
Right.
mere look of CD hitting your queen and the bishop and seemingly forcing queen trade generates the
Hmm.
same level of disgust or don't want to go there type of feelings as H3 should have. And that, by the way, would virtually force you to finding D5 because, to quote the greatest again, what else?
Right.
But again, this is hanging for free, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the real irony, Daniel, here is that this is the solution that, and the mentality, by the way, too, that allows you to play fast here. Because it takes literally 10 second stops to realize that there is a discovery here and this hangs, and you go like, whoa, that is not good. Let's
Yeah.
get
That I
out
saw.
of
I
that.
saw
And
that right
so,
away.
bang.
Yeah.
Like, if
Yeah.
I really wanted to be a nasty pastor, which I don't want to be, I would even say that being low on time is almost helping you to find D5 here. Because you
Hmm.
want a quick fix for a quite major technical issue, and there is a quick fix.
Yeah.
Like, if you had half an hour here, you would be tempted to ponder about, oh, should I push? Should I take? Is rook b1, cd, queen a6 gonna cut it? And you actually
Right.
calculate it because you should. Or even, like, let's say rook b, and then you go, oh, but I have an in-between check, and then I can take. And you get into all these lines. But if you have got half a minute, you
Right.
go like, stuff that, I'm not interested. I'm just, like, winning the game. See, yeah.
Yeah. It's so obvious now. I don't. I
So,
didn't.
as much as I would like
Yeah.
to give in to the time control, considerations, I firmly believe that low on time helps you here to be practical.
Yeah. I definitely should have seen D5. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I insist you should have seen the immense power of this.
Yeah. I mean, I
Because
did. I
that
was.
then takes you to d5 even if you don't see it initially. That's my point. That you are forced to find it. Okay, take,
Yeah.
take. Ooh. Fortune favors the bold, eh? So was it desperation or you just couldn't resign yourself to trading queens? What did I
Yeah. I
say?
didn't want to trade. I didn't want to trade queens. I wanted to stay in the attack. Yeah.
Okay, but what is your follow-up to take, take?
Um. It was.
I'm loving the idea of staying the attack. I just don't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah, so it was, this is where I was calculating fast and I got a little sloppy. So queen takes a6, d takes e3, um, and then it was rook b7 check, queen takes b7,
Yeah, rook b1.
b rook b1,
But that
queen
falls
takes
apart,
b1.
Daniel, on multiple accounts because after rook b1 I can play bishop b4 to begin with.
Hmm, yeah, I forgot about that. Yep.
And also the queen sack is looking very potent. to say the least. Like, I don't like to call it a sack. Like, you are the one sacking. We lost 2 rooks and a bishop for a queen. That's not a sack. That's black raking in the material.
Yeah, I went through this over the board afterwards, and I realized that I was
Yeah,
just
so
losing
this
material.
line looks all kinds of shaky, because even queen b1 is very, very likely going to win for black easily.
Yep.
And I don't really see how bishop b4 is not winning.
Yeah, I completely missed bishop b4. Yeah.
So it bleeds out on multiple accounts. So how did the game go? Oh my word. Wow, okay. To be fair though, actually, no,
Yeah.
rook c6 is nowhere near as bad as I initially thought. No, that's a legit move. Sorry, I take back my reaction there. It's not fair to you or him.
And I made a visualization error here. I thought that his queen was unprotected, and I missed that the knight was protecting on d7. My play got a little bit worse here as I was in time trouble and got kind of nervous about the situation with time. So I played queen d3 because I thought he couldn't take then, because I thought the queen would hang. That was my mistake.
I'm thinking if I need to take back what I took back about this being a bad move, because I just realized that we have bishop f4 check here. Oh boy! Bishop d6, bishop d6 takes, and hello. Hello.
Yep.
So actually, I will take back that I take back what I said. Rook c6 is utter garbage, and bishop f4 wins on the spot for us. Check your checks, my friend.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I had pinned the d pawn, but I was wrong. So yeah, I should have looked at checks first.
The problem, Daniel, is that even if you did, that would be no bueno, right? This is going backwards.
Going backwards.
Yeah. This check is mopping up, friend.
Yeah.
You really should have looked at this, by the way, because this is the only legal move that is not mate immediately. Like king moves mate, yeah? And then again, after the take, queen takes his mate. So rook takes his only. And by now, we do sense that this is incredibly wonky for black. And the rook b7 is a very nice way to demonstrate the concept of overloaded piece. Has to guard too many things.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Let's move on. Yeah, this is a slightly inferior version. Dare I say.
Yeah, right.
I guess just bishop c7 maybe.
That's what I expected him to do, yeah.
Although then queen b4 is a mate threat and the knight still hangs, so there are still tricks around.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Knight h5. Yeah. Queen d oh, now it's a pin, man. There you go. You got what you wanted.
Right, ultimately.
Knight g3.
I took the...
That's a very creative move. For the first time, I need to give some kudos to the guy. It's very creative. And in fact, after takes, they have rook c3, which is super pretty.
Right.
Oh, they did do that. They did do that. Right. Cool. That's cool, actually. I quite like that. That's very cheeky.
I was impressed a little bit myself. I was like, wow, that was a sneaky move I didn't expect.
Oh, yeah, totally I did. But it doesn't work, so... Yeah, but nonetheless, kudos. Kudos to the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, I think. Okay. I feel like there is some tactical here, but I can't spot it. Oh. Oh, Daniel. Cheeky man I am. Okay, this is a cheap trick, but I want to show you because it's beautiful. Queen f4, queen d6, rook d1. Queen takes f4, rook takes d8 check. King c7 regains the rook, but after gf, king takes d8, we have a winning pawn ending. The reason why it doesn't work is because they get to kick you first, and then you have to put the queen on a loose square, and now we no longer have this because the queen is free to take. So, okay,
Yeah.
all good. Yep, I like that. I'm pretty sure we have ace. Oh, this is dirty. Can you tell me why a6, ba6, queen b6 is a very bad blunder?
Hmm.
Because it does look like a sweet win.
Right. Um. No, I'm not seeing what black can do after queen b6.
Okay, how can black defend the a6 pawn?
Oh,
I want every
queen
legal move.
a4.
Sorry?
Queen a4.
That hangs his rook a little bit, yeah?
Yeah.
So let's not go there.
Okay. Um. Well, queen b5, but then you hang the rook again, right? So,
So which is the only queen move, Daniel,
uh,
that defends the pawn without hanging the rook? And you're not allowed to say queen c8 before you do it.
it's not queen c8.
No.
Uh,
Oh, it is a correct answer to my question, but not the one I wanted to hear, so I ruled it out because I'm a fair player.
okay. Um,
It's always tactics, Daniel, that these things justify, or tactical motives, such as that my king and my queen are on the same diagonal.
gotcha. Yeah, queen a7. So
So
now the
queen a7
queen.
is a
Yeah,
pin.
right,
So a6,
right,
this would be a tremendous blunder on account of this.
right.
We caught it.
Yeah.
We caught it. And therefore I would play queen b6 first.
Okay. Okay.
Because the plan is a6, isn't it? Now
Yeah,
you're
that
doing the
was
same, Daniel, but you're doing a cheapo, right? Because now if I go back, you've got nothing.
right.
Well, nothing is
Yep.
harsh, but it's unclear where we are going with this.
Yeah, and I wanted to play. I
Oh!
know, right? It was unbelievable.
Hello!
The best part is my opponent played that with 41 minutes on their clock, which actually kind of offended me. I was like, come on. But yeah, they took no time to make that move.
Oh boy. Oh boy. What a game, man. What a game.
But after King A6, I wondered how I got into any trouble at all against this opponent. I was like, did I just hurt myself the whole way, or because it just didn't
Well, I did
feel
highlight, Daniel, a fair few moves, including h6, a6, c5, and a few others where I made a point that it seems to me that you two are on the
yeah,
same team.
right, yeah.
Oh.
But the King A6 was just such a. I mean, with the person having 41 minutes on the clock, I don't know how you make that move, but
Yep.
um, yeah.
That was special. I have to give in.
Right. Well, there was a lot in that game though for me to learn. So I think it was helpful. Yeah.
Right. The other day I tweeted a game that I played. Did you see that?
I don't know if I don't think so. I don't think I saw a game that you played, no.
Okay. I will blitz through it from memory. I played about 3 or 4 days ago. The end of it was pretty neat, so that's why I'm showing it to you. E6 here. He has queen e2, bishop e7. So h4 is a almost winning move here, but I botched it
Hmm.
and I went g5, Which is very dumb because now it allowed this bishop to be back here. He played c6 at one point. Now the move order is unfortunately evading me a bit. But we had roughly this. And the reason why I'm showing this to you, Daniel, is because this game and what you are about to witness now is a very healthy combination of piece play and pawn storming together. But even here, you are going to see with quite a bit of clarity how the pawn storm and the pawn sacrifices that you will see are simply a tool to enable my pieces to do the hurt.
Okay.
What was White's next? Just throw at me a few candidates, please, to pick from.
Sure. Rook G1. I'm sorry, Rook DG1.
What's the purpose of Rook to G1? What's the follow-up?
H5.
Okay, isn't this hanging?
Yeah.
Or you don't, or you don't care? That's an acceptable answer.
I was looking at other moves first, and I was just I don't know why.
Okay,
Without even
Rook
calculating
DG1.
Okay, so
it also allows 92, which is concerning. But okay, I asked for candidates. Fair enough. Let's move on. More.
Okay, so I was looking at G6 and H5.
Okay, so let's stop. Let's round it up with Rook G1, G6, H5. Which one is the most aggressive out of the three?
G6.
Thank you. So let's start there.
Okay, so G6. F takes G6.
Is that what you are most afraid of, or you are just eliminating the responses in no particular order?
I mean, opening up the F file for the rook is something for me to be concerned about, I feel.
Daniel, the word concern in this context is an insult to me and to yourself. No, we're not concerned. But let's just clear that up. So isn't FG blundering this pawn with check? Because that is a concern.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that is much more of a concern. Okay, yep, so that doesn't really work for
All right,
black.
so here is my question to you, Daniel, and it may lead to something that might be very useful to you. Do you identify, if you look at the board right now, mate pattern that white very clearly can play for, like in 5 seconds?
Yeah, so let's see. Knight takes G6, check. H takes G6. I'm trying to find the follow-up here.
What was the mate pattern? Like, how was it made? Like, just engineer it without moves. I just want to know what mate you're talking about.
Yeah, that I didn't see yet. I was just looking for possible mate line, I guess. I didn't see a pattern immediately.
Okay, so this is exactly where I was coming, Daniel. That an G6, HG6, H5 here is a mate pattern that is actually not made because bishop H4 is possible. But as a pattern, you should already be aware of this in this position. And if you are not, and I'm not meaning it to be hurtful, I'm meaning it to be informative, it means that your mate patterns are not on point. Which means that we need to work on mate patterns, because the whole idea of G6 is fundamentally revolving around a check and an open H file and the various methods of accomplishing it. So the way how it translates to that, Daniel, is the identification of the motif translates to a winning line looks like this. Takes, check, king key H5, threatening take and carnage, G5, knight check, pawn takes mate. right?
Okay.
I'm not exaggerating. I'm being 100% genuine that if we don't have that notion, at least after G6, before G6 is debatable, you should, but if not, whatever. But after G6, if this is not on your
Okay.
radar, it means that our pattern recognition is not on point and we need to work on it. And also, Daniel, there are two types of chess players, not necessarily based on skill when it comes to which group you are in, but there is one that considers G6 and seeing FG, their gut instinct is that this is going to be mate. And there is the other that says, I'm worried about FG because it's a pin. And I didn't mean to ridicule you by very clearly singling out that as which group you are in, but I do mean that my job is to ensure that you are in the group that goes like, this is mate. And even when you don't know how it's made, you already have the pattern in your head and you're kind of halfway already there of engineering the pattern, or rather engineering the sequence that will enable you the pattern. So when you said I'm concerned, I was already like, no, you're not. You have no right to be concerned here. The only concern you have here is whether it's going to be mate in 6 or 7. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? And there are two things that you need to work on in order to make this happen. One of them, the easier one, is to work on mate patterns.
Okay.
I've got a YouTube video, by the way, that talks a lot about this tactical concept. It's one of my more popular videos. I think it's called How to Be a Deadly Tactician, in which I talk about the fact that people learn their mate patterns, like literally looking at forcing mate sequences, and then the next step they completely fail with, or don't succeed with, or don't aim to strive in, is to work toward the mate pattern to occur. So is there a mate pattern on the board now? No, there isn't. But when I play G6, I'm working toward that pattern when I am going to be able to deliver that mate. And so what I do is that I identify that the way my pieces are laid out can then lead to a potential mate pattern. So now I need to bridge that gap between what is on the board and the mate pattern 5 moves down the track. And I'm already aware of the pattern and my moves are working toward it. Because mate patterns don't fall out of the sky, right? Like that's not how chess works, that we play moves and then, look, here is a mate. I mean, that's how it works on 500 rating level, but on 1700, forget about it, man. You need to actively identify mate patterns. And this is exactly where I was coming from when I told you that there are two types of players. Because by now, for a crafty player, the vast outline of the mate pattern is blatantly obvious. So at this point, to highlight that this is a pin is the greatest way to admit that I'm not seeing mate, or that I'm completely miswired in my preferences because I'm worried about a pin when actually there is a very, very simple Carnage City mate solution here, or at least the outlines of it are here. By the way, this is a delight. Check this out. Take, check, and mate. And you can see, Daniel, that my brain is completely hardwired to these forcing moves.
Yeah.
Like I am almost always erring on the other end of the spectrum when I look at this and I'm like, yeah, it's game over. Let next. There's nothing left. It's Carnage City. And I tend to be a little bit too casual in overestimating the power of the attack because I see the patterns, I see the flow of the attack, and I tend to just go like, yeah, whatever, it's over next. And sometimes I overlook powerful defensive resources. But me respecting this, yeah, nah. That is like, I don't even notice, man, that's a pin. I mean, I can't wait to sack my queen, right? Like that's the whole idea, that I can't care less about my queen. Take it, like who cares? Now, because of we are lacking time, I'm going to show you how the game ended, but you will see again that the mate patterns and their recognition was absolutely imperative in this game. I played h5 because we want open files.
Right.
They play g5 because they don't want to open files. So I play knight g6 because I have zero respect for material and I want this to take so I can come in here. And that again is precisely the same mate pattern. We saw it 7 kilometers away, right? So he goes like, no, not interested, buddy. And I'm like, yes, you are. And you see, Daniel, that every single move that I'm playing is a total aggro, super heavy punch in the face. There is no adjusting, no preparation. It's go, mate. Go, go, go. And I am onto you like my life depended on it, because that's the only way to play chess. And again, I'm threatening with all kinds of disasters. This would have elongated the game the longest. My plan was to take, and mate in however many.
Right. Yeah.
Again, I refuse to calculate this more than this because I'm lazy. And I just went like, if this is not mate, nothing is. Right? So I didn't really, and I still don't know how it's made, but I would take care of that position. Luckily, my opponent played bishop here, and that allowed me to deliver. Unfortunately, this was the end. And the reason I'm saying unfortunately, because I really was hoping, which is why I took this and didn't go here, because I was hoping for this checkmate. But if you look at this game, Daniel, and you see how and what spirit the attack was conducted in, you do see that there is no room here for I was afraid, I prepared. Nah, it's go time, mate. Now, obviously, there are situations when you need to prepare and when you need to take extra measures, whatever. But right here, it's just beautiful piece layout, beautiful harmony. Everyone is ready to go, so go. And this is exactly what results in beautiful mates, like when you just feel the flow of the attack and you go with it.
Right. No, that bishop on h3 is great. I don't know if I've put my bishop on that square.
Yeah, but see, Daniel, the thing is that you look at this and you go like, the bishop on h3 is great. Yes, it is great, and I don't want to toot my own horn here, but it's great because of the moves I played after. Right? So if I play in this position, rook dg1, followed by, I don't know, whatever, then I take this back, and then I play h5, and then queen, like, you see, all of a sudden, this just sucks, right? So part of the deal is that, yes, the bishop is great on h3. The other part of the deal is that you need to make it great by then pursuing the attack in the most effective manner.
Right.
Yeah, because the knight is just as great as was the queen. But see, I put the bishop on h3, Daniel, on move, what, like 10, 12? You wouldn't argue that this bishop is great now, right? So it just happened to be that we played moves that enabled us to make the best use of our pieces. Same with the knight on c3, which then made its way to f4, and now we landed in a position where all of this looks quite potent, but even here, we need to strike the iron while it's hot to make this whole thing happen.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Chief. That's gonna do us for today.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
This is probably gonna be YouTubed, so I'm gonna stop now.